Here, kind of in the front.
Yeah. And Liz, if you want to.
And Liz over on this side. And Liz over here.
Reverend Della, you got to. Let's balance it off some too on each side.
And if we could get our speakers kind of up near the front, so that Bishop Buddy, if you could come over this way a little bit.
Members of the media, raise your hand that are here, and then there are others who are online.
Reverend David Miller and Bishop Buddy.
Which media?
Brother Jim Winkler. You just kind of come up near the front there.
Getting images.
Okay. We got a lot of media online.
That's right.
Bishop Barber, you opening it up,
Yes.
and then turning it to from Liz. And
Someone that has some Lysol, if you would, just in case. Let me welcome all of those who are viewing by live stream and all of the media outlets that have told us you would be watching by live stream this morning for this press conference. My name is Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II. I'm a bishop with TFAM under the leadership of the presiding Bishop Yvette Flunder, co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign and president of Repairs of the Breach. And today we're here because we have a moral and constitutional crisis in America. Anytime legislators, for simply upholding what they swore to do in the Constitution, are treated like political refugees, we have a moral and constitutional crisis in America. Normally at our gatherings, we don't have elected politicians to speak, mostly ministers and impacted people. But today, the politicians are the impacted. They are the impacted. And this is why the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, made up of over 47 state coordinating committees, hundreds of partners and thousands of faith leaders, just after a 4-day march from Georgetown to Austin, and last week, one of the largest ever acts of civil disobedience in the history of the country here in D.C., along with the National Council of Churches, our dear friend Dr. Winkler. The Council of Churches represents over 39 religious bodies in this country, millions of congregants. We're also here today along with national leadership, not just preachers of congregations, but national leadership from the Episcopal Church, the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, the Presbyterian Church, the United Church of Christ, the American Friends Service Committee, our Quaker brothers and sisters who were the key to the Underground Railroad, and our native American Indian brothers and sisters, specifically from the Apache Nation. And we've joined together with these moral witnesses, the Texas state legislators, who decided that if people were going to crucify utility grids and crucify voting rights and crucify living wages, that every crucifixion requires a moral witness. And they decided to deliver a message to the nation to nationalize Texas, because Texas is the canary in the mine for what's going on in this country. So we've joined together today, representing millions, to deliver a message to President Biden, Vice President Harris, Senate Majority Leader Schumer, and Minority Leader McConnell in the Senate. We're going to hand deliver this message because this coalition represents millions of people of faith and millions of voters who believe it's time for a reset in how we are viewing the current debate, for the ending of the filibuster, passing of the For the People Act that was actually written by John Lewis with his last breath, restoring and expanding the Voting Rights Act, and passing a $15 hour minimum wage. It is time to view these things through the lens of our deepest constitutional and moral values in order to preserve the soul, the economic justice, and the future possibilities of this nation. There are three infrastructures, not one, we must care for. Surely we must care for the infrastructure of our bridges and our roads and our ports, but we must also take care of the infrastructure of our democracy, voting, access to the ballot, and we must take care of the infrastructure of our daily lives, wages, and health care. The demands of this moment are much bigger than Republican versus Democrat, liberal versus conservative, and moderate versus political manipulation. This moment is about right versus wrong. It's not about the one big lie from one man, but it's about an old lie, an old fear that has metastasized into a cancer of lies. I thought about it this morning as somebody texted me that today is the 4th year anniversary of Charlottesville. And here we are also 6 days after the 56th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act that was signed by a president who came out of Texas because of a movement that grew out of Alabama. Voter suppression and economic suppression have always been rooted in more than a simple binary black versus white or racism critique. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King told us that, and we need to hear it today when he said the threat of free exercise of the ballot by the Negro and white masses is what causes a segregated society and suppression. The threat of the Negro and white masses coming together. This is what happened when the Negro and white masses of the South threatened to unite and build a great society, a society where greed and poverty would be done away with. So the battle to suppress the vote and the battle to suppress labor rights has been a tactic used first by Southern white aristocracy to hold on to their power because of their fear that that coalition would come together and change the economic architecture of the nation. We are in a battle for the soul of the democracy and the possibility of the democracy. We are in a battle against becoming a civil oligarchy and what John Nichols calls a dollarocracy. 400 voter suppression bills have been filed in 49 states, not just in the South, in Texas and North Carolina. We know that the moral struggle for a true democracy is never just about voting rights for black people. In this moment, to make only that argument is a flawed. This is an immoral interlocking that reveals how racism and classism work together to create barriers. To defeat voter suppression today, we must be equally as conscious of how attacks on democracy are detrimental to black people, brown people, white people, Asian people, Native people, disabled people, women, young people, and based and various other demographics. There are over 140 million poor and low wealth people in this country. And the same ones that suppress the right to vote for the 65 million poor and low wealth people in this country also suppress living wages and suppress fixing utility grids and suppress health care, which hurts us all. What we see happening today by the U.S. is backed by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the Koch brothers and ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Group. What they're trying to do is prop up a system that benefits the wealthy. The people who are pushing these voter suppression measures will use the power they seek to steal to draw districts and pass laws that make it even more difficult to win a governing majority in the future. The ones pushing voter suppression in states and blocking voting rights creation at the state level, and the ones blocking fixing it at the federal level, are the same political forces that block living wages and fixing the climate and addressing health care. And all of these things have a devastating impact on the totality of Americans, not just black people. This current struggle is not purely Jim Crow. It is not. Jim Crow went to law school, got a degree in law and statistics, and now he is James Crow Esquire, and his goal is to shut down every progressive voice in this nation if he could. And he has a sister named Jane S. Crow as well. As long as this struggle is framed as Republicans who are concerned about election integrity, which is a lie, versus Democrats who want to encourage a turnout that favors their party, America is descending and will continue to descend into a hyper-partisan dysfunction which will continue to cost our democracy. We are in a moral crisis and a constitutional crisis. We must reclaim voting rights and living wages and addressing poverty as moral issues that make good economic sense. And to not have protected and expanded voting rights at the federal level and living wages is constitutionally inconsistent, morally inconsistent, and economically insane. These issues do not stand apart, they actually stand together. And so that is why we will deliver this letter to say we must end the filibuster. Not only has the filibuster been used against black folk, it was used to block women's suffrage, it was used to block labor rights, it was used to block consumer protection, it was used to try to block the right of 18-year-olds to vote. It must end. It has never been used to bring people together, only to divide us further. We must pass all the provisions of the For the People Act. All of the provisions. There aren't before access to the ballot, getting dark money out of our elections, dealing with unjust gerrymandering, and ethics. Which one of them can you cut out? None of them. We must pass and fully restore the Voting Rights Act. And we must pass $15 minimum wage now for the 32 million people who we called essential workers last year and year, who saved this democracy, the first to go to work, got the least amount of pay, the first to get affected, the first to go to the hospital, and the first to die. And so today we deliver a moral directive and a call to President Biden, Vice President Harris, to Senate Leader Schumer, to Minority Leader McConnell, and to all the senators. We must never forget, Bishop, Isaiah 10, which says, "Woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children their prey." When I first started quoting that and got it years ago, it dawned on me, it says, "Woe unto those who rob," who deliberately right in your face pass laws to take your rights. Every one of those persons that put their hand on the Bible swore to uphold the Constitution on the Bible, but it's time that they read both the Constitution and the Bible. And only when we as a nation preach good news to the poor, only when we lift the least of these, only when we establish justice, only when we ensure equal protection under the law, only when we promote the general welfare of all people, can we even come close to living out in policy and in deed what it means to be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So today we stand together, preachers and politicians, clergy, and with our collective moral voices, we are all impacted today. We call on the president to go to Texas, go to Arizona, go to West Virginia, and then go to the well of the Congress and let the nation know we must have three infrastructures protected: the infrastructure of our roads, our bridges, and our ports, the infrastructure of our democracy, voting rights, and access to the ballot, and the infrastructure that that lifts our daily lives, which is our living wages. We must have all three infrastructures to keep the possibility and the future of this democracy from crumbling. This is not even anymore about whether Democrats will win or whether Republicans will win. It's not whether Democrats will be or whether Republicans will be in this moment. And while what these legislators have done is so important, it's really about whether America will be. That's the question. That's the question. Let me introduce the Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris, the co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign. Following her, our dear friend Dr. Winkler from the National Council of Churches. And then following him, Reverend Alvin O'Neill Jackson will bring on the rest of our speakers, including the leaders, religious leaders, and the members of the Texas Legislature.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris. I'm the director of the Cairo Center for Religions, Rights, and Social Justice at Union Theological Seminary and co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. We're here this morning because we are in a moral crisis, and we are clear about what our demands are. We will keep on organizing, we'll keep on crying out, because as a pastor, as a mother, as someone who has been impacted by this attack on our democracy, it is in peril, and we have to lean on our deepest moral traditions that are about defending the vulnerable, that are about ensuring a voice for absolutely everybody, that are about lifting from the bottom so that everybody can rise. So we stand here today and we deliver this letter in power because we know it is our moral duty to call to attention the attack that is happening on the 140 million and growing poor and low-income people. And that if we do not save this democracy, if we do not protect and expand our right to vote, if we do not raise wages, and if we do not build up this infrastructure of schools and health care and everything that everybody needs to thrive, not just barely survive, that we are in danger. We are in danger of reducing this nation to chaos. That's right. When it could be a beacon of liberty and life and the pursuit of justice for everyone. And so it is an honor to be here with everybody today and to take the side of justice. We have been saying in this season of moral nonviolent direct action, which side are you on?
That's it.
And that is the question that we continue to pose to Senator Schumer, to Senator McConnell, to President Biden, and to Vice President Harris. Which side are you on? Are you on the side of right? Are you on the side of democracy? Are you on the side of justice? Are you on the side of living wages? Or will you allow this filibuster and moral obstructionism of our Congress and our Senate in particular to allow this democracy to die?
That's right. That's right.
We won't.
We won't.
We will keep organizing, we will keep mobilizing, and we will keep building a powerful moral movement from below to make the power structures say yes when they right now are saying no.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Dr. Winkler.
Yes, sir. Morning. My name is Jim Winkler. I serve as President and General Secretary of the National Council of Churches. I want to thank the Poor People's Campaign for bringing us together once again, and I want to welcome our Texas colleagues who have made this journey here to be with us. Thank you. We gather on this blazing hot August morning when we'd rather be trying to stay cool because crucial matters facing this nation require our presence. The weather speaks directly to our intention to turn the heat up.
That's right.
The Poor People's Campaign has been on the streets all across this country demanding an end to the filibuster, to ask that all provisions of the John Lewis For the People Act be enacted, to fully restore and expand protections of the 1965 Voting Act, and to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. God says in the book of Isaiah, I will quietly look from my dwelling like clear heat in sunshine.
Wow.
Like a cloud of dew in the heat of the harvest. God has made clear that because there are those who oppress people, God will make God's presence known and will defend and deliver God's people. When people are denied the right to vote, and when they're not paid enough money to put a roof over their heads and provide for their families, then they are oppressed.
That's right.
That's why we're raising our voices as believers. That's why we're out here sweating in the clear heat of sunshine. Clear sunshine is exposing the dark corners of our nation.
That's right.
Voter suppression measures are intended to cast doubt on the will of the people and permit elected officials to set aside the expressed will of the people. Sunshine exposes that.
That's right.
Filibusters are a way to exhaust our representatives, to defeat legislation before it's even discussed or considered or voted on. Sunshine exposes that. When millions of people are paid poverty wages and driven into debt and despair, then the sunshine is required to expose that. We're calling for measures to be taken by our leaders to protect and strengthen the right to vote, to invest in our nation's physical and human infrastructure, and to ensure there's a livable wage. These should not and are not controversial measures. If they are, then there's something secretive going on, and we need to shine sunlight on that.
That's right.
That's right.
So we're here, whether it's hot or not, whether it's comfortable or not, and we're grateful that our sisters and brothers from Texas are willing to leave their comfortable homes and offices and not go along with injustice. Our struggle is the same. Thank you.
Jim, would you take a moment that some people don't know to just say a word about the breadth of the Council of Churches?
We have in the National Council of Churches 30 million Christians and 100,000 local churches. We have Orthodox churches and historic black churches and mainline Protestants and Anglican churches and evangelical churches and peace churches. This is a broad swath of American Christianity. Quite frankly, most of the presidents of the United States have come from within the ranks of the National Council of Churches. We're here to speak truth to power. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
I'm Alvin O'Neill Jackson with the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, and a retired pastor in the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, and this morning representing our General Minister and President, Reverend Terry Howitt Owens. There are many signatures on the letter that will be delivered shortly. I won't read all of the signatures on the letter, but a few folks will speak. On the first call on Representative Jasmine Crockett, from Texas, to say a very brief word, and followed by Dr. Winslet Nosey from the Apache Stronghold. So if you would come, Representative Crockett.
Good morning, all. I just want to say that, well, actually, I need y'all to say it for me. Say sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's what the 57 of us were. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. That is what was in our spirits. Let me give y'all just a few facts. Number one, our governor had his voter suppression bill. That bill passed out of the House chamber during our regular session. The problem was, it just wasn't bad enough. So what the Senate decided to do is they decided, wait a minute, we got to take away souls to the polls because we know who that targets. So because that's not in this language, we're going to try to add this at the midnight hour because those Democrats are going to stay there because we've abused them all session long. We gave everyone handguns and they didn't walk out. We told them that we were going to abridge a woman's right to do what she needs to do with her body and they didn't walk out. We told them that we were going to take power from local elected officials in some of our largest counties when it comes to things such as their police budgets. And they didn't walk out. So no worries, because we've abused them all session long. They'll stay here because it's only 2 more hours. They'll accept what we're giving them. They'll accept the fact that we've added this provision to overturn elections. What they didn't know is that the 57 were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's right. That's right.
And so we walked out and they said, well, that was a fluke. There were only 2 hours left. But they didn't know our resolve.
That's right.
We truly were sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so when it came down to this new bill, they said, oh, wait a minute, we don't know how they got there. Sorry about that. Somebody added it. We'll take that out. Come on back, guys. Let's get this done. Well, they added other provisions that were just as bad or worse. And so what did we decide to do? We rolled out.
Rolled out.
We came to the nation's capital. We didn't just say we were leaving to kill a bill.
That's right.
We came and we decided to be productive. We came and we decided to put pressure in the only place that pressure mattered, which was right here in D.C. Sadly enough, in D.C., we have the majority.
That's right.
We have the House,
Teachers.
we have the Senate,
Yeah.
and we
And the
have
president.
the president.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, oh man, they're doing so bad in Texas with their majority.
Oh, my.
Surely,
Surely.
this is where we will get the results that we need, not just for Texans, but for those in Georgia,
That's right.
those in Florida, those in Arizona, and those throughout this country. Sadly enough, no matter what we've done, we have given them that baton. But for whatever reason, they can't finish this race.
Time to finish it.
But I want to tell y'all,
That's it.
we are still sick and tired
Sick and tired.
of being sick and tired.
That's it. That's it.
So while they have gone on recess, we will continue to fight against our governor.
Yes.
And we will ask questions of our colleagues such as, what would Jesus do? Is it morally right that right now we have children that potentially may die because our governor refuses to be a leader on COVID-19? Is it right that teachers haven't gotten their raise in pay because the Republicans decided not to bring that bill to the floor that we signed on to? None of these things are right.
None of them are right.
Instead of saying, let's sit down with our colleagues who truly feel offended by what's in this bill, let's talk this through. Let's listen to them because we ignored the people, but let's listen to our elected colleagues. Instead, they decided we want to arrest our political opponents and throw them into the chamber and put this down their throat. I want them to know that we are still sick and tired, of being sick and tired.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Just a few more
Sick and
speakers.
tired of
Sick
being
and
sick and
tired. Just a few more speakers, Chairman. Nosy, Dr. Winsler.
Chairman.
First of all, I just want to say that coming from Arizona, from the mountains of Mount Graham and Oak Flats that are really sacred and holy, one of the most important things as a Native American is that, as I told Reverend Barber, is that we have to attack this issue in a religious sense because we're fighting a great evil of what is old. And so with that, it's very important that our leaders understand that there's good and bad. And the only ones that can defeat that is themselves.
That's right.
And so when people ask me, will we ever win or will we lose? It really depends on what we feed as people.
That's right.
And that's so important that we need to understand, and that's the great message that's being delivered. And as Native people, we've been affected by this hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. So we're with you on this journey, spiritual journey, of what's being affected by all of us, on how leadership is run. So with one of the things that I did want to say is that to my brothers and sisters of Texas, we faced the same ordeal in Arizona. But as everyone is saying here, the light is being shined
That's right.
to this darkness. And that's what it's going to take. So I ask all the people out there that you must stand up.
That's right.
You must be a part of this movement. Because I see it as a religious and a spiritual movement that has to be done.
That's right.
So again, I want to thank everybody for having the first people, being a part of this great movement. Because it's going to take all of us to do it. All of us to see it better tomorrow. And that's one of the great things that I know that we all pray for our children and those yet to be born, because the decisions we make today is for them.
That's right.
And not only for them, but for Mother Earth itself.
That's it.
So remember that. And I want to thank you again for allowing me to have this time. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Akia.
Thank you, Chairman Nosy. We're so happy to have the Right Reverend Marianne Egger Buddy Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington. She will be followed by Reverend David Miller from the Unitarian Universalist Association and the Reverend Sandy Sorensen from the United Church of Christ. Then we're going to have just two more speakers from the Texas delegation, and we'll be ready to take a few questions and make our way over. Bishop Buddy.
Thank you, Bishop.
I am so proud to be a part of this multi-faith, multi-race, multi-class movement to speak truth in a world where the haze of lies is as devastating as the smog that is destroying the planet. And it is confusing our people and catching them in ways that help just distort reality so that we can't even hear truth until we hear it. You know, and when we hear it, it breaks through like such powerful freedom. And we need that now.
We need it.
I have to speak as a Christian. I speak today to fellow Christians who hold the reins of power. You know as well as I that Jesus hated more than anything, really just one thing, and that was hypocrisy and abuse of power for those who held it. Those who are entrusted with power are given such privilege and responsibility. We should go to bed each night quaking in our beds for the responsibilities that we hold. And I call upon you, those who have power, to recognize that truth is coming to take this down.
That's right.
And you will not be spared the judgment of history and the judgment of your people. And we will not let this go down on our watch. We can't. As a mother, as a grandmother, as a friend of the earth, as Dr. Fauci said on the television camera the other day, he said, I don't know how to tell you how to be compassionate to your neighbors, right? How can we tell the leaders of this country that their role is to be compassionate and just? If they don't know that, then we must bring power to them to persuade them that it is time. And I am so honored to be with those who have put their lives on the line for this moment, for a time such as this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Bishop. Okay. Reverend David Miller, Unitarian Universalist Association.
Yes, sir.
What an honor it is to be here today. I represent Susan Frederick Gray, the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and the over 100,000 members of our congregation and over 500,000 of those in the United States who call themselves Unitarian Universalists. Whether from the pulpit or to the press, I'm often at a loss to find the right words to break hardened hearts. I often wonder if there's one of the most actively suppressing the rights of their fellow humans, if they could feel the pain of the wounds of disregard, would it break the casings of indifference?
My God.
At a time when the spirit that lies at the heart of the promise of this country is so fragile, at a time when our republic needs every citizen's support, at a time when it is essential to see the Spirit of God in every human face. Where are the profiles of courage to ensure the right to vote for so many whose hard-won rights have been paid for with so much sweat and blood, and far too costly sweat and blood of their ancestors? Where is the recognition that our governmental systems, like the filibuster, must change for there to be change?
That's right.
And where's the compassion that leads to a living wage as we never forget the command to love our neighbors as ourselves?
That's right.
As a part of this faith coalition, as a part of the shared moral voices of my sibling Unitarian Universalists, may our words and deeds find their way to those who have lost theirs. As we never forget that a living wage and the precious right to vote must be priorities for a truly democratic nation. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Miller. Reverend Sandy Sorensen from the United Church of Christ.
Good morning. I am honored, no matter how hot it is, to be standing here with my brothers and sisters of faith and my brothers and sisters from Texas. I am Sandy Sorensen with the United Church of Christ, a justice-seeking church with a long history of advocating for voting rights. Last year, in his eulogy for the late Representative John Lewis, former President Obama said, "Democracy is not automatic. You have to tend it. You have to work at it. And we know now, sometimes you have to fight for it."
That's right.
That's right.
And that is why we are here today. Our vote is our voice, one of the most powerful tools we have to act on the issues that we care about. For democracy to flourish, every voice must be heard and every vote counted. We must restore and expand access to voting rights and enact needed reforms to the democratic process. Now, we know that the efforts to exclude and disenfranchise voters most directly impacts the poor and marginalized. They are the very ones who most need a voice in the policy decisions that will affect them. As people of faith, we are called to stand with the marginalized and the vulnerable, to work for a democratic process that centers the common good.
Common good.
We call upon all our elected officials to stop playing partisan politics with the right to vote, strengthen our democracy through legislation like the For the People Act. Now is the time for courageous moral imagination, not narrow-minded self-interest. Do the right thing, not the partisan thing. Stand with the people, stand for the people.
That's right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Amen. Thank you, Sandy. We're grateful for all of our faith leaders who are here, faith leaders all over this country, the Reverend Freddie D. Haynes, Dallas, Texas, Bishop Yvette Flanda, and many others. Their signatures are all on the letter. We're grateful for Reverend Jimmy Hawkins, who is hosting us here today at the Methodist Building, along with Jim Winkler. Closing us out now in our speakers before we make our way to deliver the letter, Representative Carl Sherman and Representative Gina Hinojosa from the great state of Texas will make brief remarks.
Thank you. We're going to switch up order. I'm Representative Gina Hinojosa, and I represent Austin, Texas in the Texas House. We are standing on hallowed ground of our democracy, a democracy that we know we cannot take for granted, that we know is not an inevitability. We learned that on January 7th, but it is strong because it is bound by Americans' faith, their commitment, and their hard work on the promise of our democracy. Americans like the Texas House members that I have now spent a month with today in Washington, D.C. And on May 30th, when we first walked out of the Texas House, I remember sending a text message to some of my colleagues saying, it's a leap of faith. It probably won't work, but it only works if you take it.
That's right. That's right.
Every day since then has been a leap of faith. We did not know what was going to come after that first day, that first week, but we knew every day that our fight was righteous. It started with the coalition of black and brown members, and I will be eternally grateful for our white allies who let us lead the way and who joined us in that fight. A fight, again, that was not one day. It was not even 30 days. It became a fight of a season, of a summer of action. And here we are.
Here we are.
Our friends and allies ask, out of a place of care and concern for us and for the cause, what is the end game? What is the exit strategy? And I understand where that comes from, and I appreciate that care and concern, but I don't think that's the right question.
Nope. Wrong question.
I think the right question is every day we ask ourselves, do we have the courage, the commitment, and strength to do what is right for justice? John Lewis didn't ask, what's the end game?
Nope.
He didn't ask, what's the exit strategy? Every day he worked a lifetime for justice. And that's what we're committed to do today. And so that's all we ask of our president. That's all we ask of our Senate. And sometimes, though, answering in the affirmative to that question is not comfortable. Sometimes you even have to break some rules to make it happen. But if you need an example of what that looks like, just look at my colleagues here today of the Texas House. Because if we answer yes every day to the question, do we have the courage, the faith, and commitment to do what is right for justice? We know the answer to that, right, Ana Maria? What we learned at Mount Zion Church 2 Sundays ago, we're going to be all right.
You're going to be all right.
Be all right.
You're going to be all right.
Representative Carl Sherman, just very briefly, we need to make our way and be at the Senate in just a few minutes.
To the esteemed Dr. Barber and Dr. Harris and all of the esteemed clergy and faith leaders here surrounded with my honorable friends, the fugitives from Texas. We are here because justice needs to be delivered here. We are here because we are looking for freedom to vote. My ancestors had to cross the Mason-Dixon line to come to Congress to implore the Congress and President Lyndon B. Johnson to sign the Voters' Rights Act. We are here for justice. If fighting to ensure that believers have access to vote during the traditional times of souls to the polls was a crime the first time we walked out, then lock us up.
Lock us up.
If fighting to protect the sanctity of our democracy is a crime, then lock us up.
Teach now.
If fighting against the big lie is a crime, then let God be true and every man a lie. Lock us up.
Lock us up.
May the spirit of John Lewis transform my fellow fugitives of the state of Juneteenth to walk by faith into good trouble. We are grateful for the support of many legislative representatives from the state of Virginia, from the state of Georgia, Florida, Arizona, Mississippi, Illinois, and Maryland. And we are grateful for the giants of faith, like Dr. Barber, who stand in solidarity with the Texas fugitives. Somebody had to reach way back in history to condemn us as fugitives under the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, but we are not going back.
That's right.
Not until we kill this anti-voter bill. Someone said it's hypocritical, but we know our rights. We are working to protect the voting rights of the hard-working shift workers who get off at 5 a.m. in the morning to have the freedom to go vote after they get off work,
That's
just
right.
like the white-collar worker who gets off at 5 p.m. is able to vote. I do believe truth shall overcome the big lie. I do believe that they that be with us are more than they that be with them. I do believe that no weapon or Confederate flag formed or codified into law against us shall prevail. We are doing everything we can to protect your freedom to vote in Texas and everywhere in this nation. I do believe we shall overcome. Together, we must commit to keep the pressure on this nation. Together, we stand. Together, we move. Together, truth shall continue to march on.
Together.
Let the people vote.
Let the people vote. Let the people vote.
Somebody say, let the people vote.
Let the people vote.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Not one step back. So today, members of the media, we're going to start walking. We want to be clear with these voices. You're right, my sister. The end game is standing up.
Yeah.
You don't always know what the people are going to tell you. It's impossible till it happens. That's what Mandela said. But the victory, the Bible says, this is our victory, even our faith. That's the victory that you know it's time to stand up before ever the change comes. We also want you to know that we're calling on the president and the vice president to meet with a group of diverse moral leaders and poor and impacted people and diverse voting rights lawyers that deal with voting rights with Native people and black people and white people and all who are impacted. Now, I'll tell the media, I got an offer. They said, well, what about if you meet? I said, no. This is not about one or two people meeting for a photo op. The president we need a moral reset. He needs to hear from moral and religious leaders from a diverse background, not just black.
That's right.
He needs to hear from poor and low impact people. He needs to hear from legislators like these. He needs to hear from voting rights lawyers that can show them how all of this watered down talk is nothing but a way to create real change from happening. And he needs to hear and then go to the well of the Congress. Lastly, as we march today, we want you to know that we are going to continue to escalate. On the 26th, we're going to West Virginia. Just like we helped nationalize Texas, as Alabama was nationalized in 65, Texas is now nationalized in 2021. West Virginia, we're going there on the 26th. We're going to do a day and a half caravan from Logan Mountain. The Blair Mountain Wars were there of when black and white people fought together in 21, Liz? That's right. And then we're going to have a gathering at the Capitol in West Virginia. And then all the way to next year, June 18, 2022, we're asking everybody here and everybody online, we need to put 1 million people in the street to say we are no longer going to accept systemic racism, systemic poverty, ecological devastation, denial of health care, the war economy, and the false moral narrative of religious nationalism, but not just with complaint, but with an agenda. A third Reconstruction agenda to say this is how we can lift this nation from the bottom up. We're mobilizing towards that in June 18, 2022, a mass poor people's low-wage workers assembly moral march on Washington. We want to put 1 million folk in the street and online and everywhere else because it's time that we speak, we stand, we vote, but there's one thing it's not time to do, and that's to quit. And so I want to sign this letter. Everybody can come and find your name and sign this letter. This is the one sent to all four. And where are we headed, y'all? Which building? Which building?
We're headed to the Capitol.
That Capitol? So we go straight that way? And which door are they going to take us to? Christian, which door?
Kristen, we need you to tell us exactly where we're going.
Christian? So, I mean, is it that side of the Capitol? So I'm going to get my car because my knee, and I'm trying to make sure. Yes, sir. Okay, let me get these staffers. You're going to the appointment desk. It's right up the middle. And it's on the right side? That side? Okay, is there a closer way for me to get up there?
So people can't drive through there. I don't know if
Okay, I'm gonna go to that entrance. Find my car. I can get this bum knee over there. But we're gonna line up first. And y'all can sign it on this piece if you want to. Everybody find your name.
Yeah.
Great job. Those of you that are in the media, you can tweet out that we're on our way to march into the Capitol building. Zilla, let Yolanda and them know to start alerting folk. Elliot, let them know, alert folk online. Y'all should be tweeting out on social media what's happening, moment by moment. Make sure you wipe your hands off since we're using the same pen. We want to be safe. Where's my team with the some hand sanitizer? Bring it right over here so folks can.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's the hand sanitizer to your left. Madam Representative. I'm trying to take care of everybody. Thank you. God bless you. We're together. If y'all go back and they arrest you, let some of us know we'll come to Texas and join you on the inside.
That's right.
And we'll do a little organizing on the inside while we're in there.
That's right.
I'm serious about that.
Okay.
See, if they touch y'all, they're going to have to touch some of us.
Take it.
You should be, I don't know exactly, it should be in alphabetical order. Okay. Is that you? Is it in the order? Okay. It's the same letter that was bedded. No change. Reverend Liz and Reverend Buddy, along with a couple of the senators, the representatives, and Dr. Jackson are going to lead over. You gotta go through that.
Thank you, Penny.
Yeah. I'm going on that. I'm trying to see where y'all going.
You up near the front there, Reverend Sandy. Do what? Actually, I did. You weren't there.
If I pass out,
Hey, brother. God bless you. Yes, sir. Thank you. No, we are together. So that's this help us take three.
Yes.
We get my sister here, my sister here.
Right.
Where's
And then we're
where's
gonna
another representative?
walk together to the Senate
All of them are up
side
there.
of the Capitol.
We're gonna walk across. Let's do a 5 across, 6
5
across.
o'clock. Okay.
We need a little diversity in this group.
All right. I'll see you.
Right, but you gotta. Nine. Okay. Well, let's all of us go over and then we'll pick them up. How about that? Just get two. They got meetings there. We don't have any representatives. We need one to go. Let's try. I'll get one of you. Yeah. So everybody listen up. They just said to us that they proved 9, but we need at least a couple of the Texas representatives to go in with the religious leaders. So what I would suggest is we walk over there. You can negotiate better when you're looking at people. Right? That's right. Yeah.
Maybe Eddie or Gina?
Yep, we're good. All right, our other two.
I'm gonna grab this.
Hey, real quick. Hang on. Somebody's calling me. All right, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Got it, dog. You're gonna be smiling now.
What could be your next step? You guys are here.
Sorry about that one day. Can we get right through here? Let's go through the Let's do it 3 by 3, 4 by 4. So it looks like we
Bailey, get everybody going.
Yeah, 4 across, 4, 5 across. Liz, right there beside you. Okay. We're jaywalking, y'all.
I don't take it.
Yeah, we're jaywalking. Police is watching good.
Can you move over, please?
Elliot! Elliot! Where's he at? Yeah, Elliot. Zilla, snap these and start sending them out over Twitter. Hit these pictures and get them to Yolanda.
All right.
And y'all tell them tweet them out, everything, every other minute.
Okay.
That's how you. I'm learning about these social media stuff. You know, it took 8 months for the first meeting in Selma to the signing of the Voting Rights Act. 8 months. And of course, they have been organized for 2 years. And then some people in Selma have been organized for 30. So, we just getting started. So I'm gonna go over that way. And I'll see y'all over there. Okay. All right.
Tomorrow I'll be out in West Maryland somewhere at a university and I'll talk to
This was not a part of my plans at all. Barbara called and said, well, can you? So it was just supposed to be for a few months and it's turned into a little longer trip. I know you always hunt in this area.
And they got us all rich. I mean, I would never believe it. Yeah, we're in
And so I'm going to have dinner with you.
I'm just trying to get it.
Okay. I kind of keep these relationships, you know what I mean?
Yeah, first time.
Well, first time it is. Now, have you guys called someone?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, nice green. George, you tried to read.
Oh, yeah, no, it is. We're at that temperature. Hey, you know, are they going to try? I don't know that I have an idea. I don't have my ID with me. Is it in here? I have a copy of my driver's license on my phone.
So we'll just hang tight right here.
Huh?
Well, so there's a pre-approved list of people who only those 9 will be able to go in. Everybody else will kind of have to hang by the steps. But Reverend Barber wanted to swap in some of the Texas legislatures, some of the 9. And so that's what they're working on right now. Swap in yes, ma'am. Yeah, I know who y'all are.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
A group of 9 are going to go hand deliver the letter. You know, on the Senate side of the Capitol, where the office of the majority and the minority leader are. I mean, the Senate office will be as well.
No cameras.
And then others will wait, hopefully the shade, and then
I don't think cameras would be a problem. We can ask them.
Okay, I mean, we're with Reverend Barber, so.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely ask.
At the very minimum, it should be fine in the hallways.
I think Reverend Barber has the names that he wants to add.
yeah, it's these 3 folks here.
That's the only 3?
Oh, 4. Yeah, gotcha. 4. Yeah, that's right. And so it's those 4. I did know that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
The revenue wanted to change the list of people delegation of 9.
Yeah. So there's the 4 legislators. That would be 4 of the 9.
Okay. We gotta get this.
That was your system. I took it forward. Okay.
It's gonna walk us up.
Should I hang around?
I have a credit card.
Just getting started.
The biggest thing around.
Thank you for standing next to you, by the way. I got great food.
Got it.
Would you, I'm not, would you handle the video? Videos don't fail me.
There's a video. There's no pressure. Yeah, no.
None whatsoever.
I got my vaccine.
Out of all the legislators.
Oh, yeah? I got my vaccine verification. Will that work? How about my vaccine card? Will that work?
It did right now.
Michelle, I would do it here.
Sorry. Trying to find it. Does that help the star? Helps the star and like the
demonstrating the process. Okay. All right. Yeah, he's retired. He's my buddy. Yeah, he just retired this morning. I see the call tomorrow, right? That makes sense. Yeah. But I wonder if we might have yeah, we came on the same year, 31 years ago. So he's just old. He's actually down in North Carolina on vacation. I'll let him know you said hello.
They're on their way.
Correct. It's a 1-to-9 ratio between staff members. We'll just hang out here. Okay.
You guys are here to get back to get there and unless it's not big deal. I think that's fine. I don't, I'll does that mean, sealed means not in the book or? And I got a check. It's on Vermont. I just don't have, got a credit card. Yeah, that's what I can. Did it work? Okay, she said a credit card works. Cool. Yeah, I got banking and we were in it.
Some of staffs come in, they will be able to help us rearrange the list right now. The police said we can't rearrange the list until they come down. But they say you can go in now, so you don't have to stand out.
I'll find out.
No, she's coming. I'll call. Okay. All right.
What's the game plan? I'm Lily Coney. I'm with Congressman Justin Lee's staff.
Hey.
Good communication with you.
We got 3 Texas legislators that we need to try to get in with.
I don't know if we're going to be able to. This is the Senate side. We have no control over their thing. But yeah, we'll see once we get in if we can do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Krishna from Senator Schumer's office.
Can you get those 3 Texas legislators in?
I can only get 9 people at a time
What do you mean?
due to restrictions. There can only be one with every staff member. There can only be 9 guests at a time.
Well, I'm a staff. Can I ask one? Yeah.
Are you Senate staff?
No, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
They have to
Can you get another staff?
We only have me right now.
Gotcha.
So where's everybody at?
Those on the list.
Where the clergy that's on the list?
Bishop Marianne Buddy.
She's not here.
Okay, so you can take Mary Ann.
Okay.
Okay, who
William
else?
Barber, Liz Theo Harris, Alvin Jackson.
No, I can stay, but let somebody else go.
Okay. Jim Winkler. Jimmy
Chairman,
Hawkins.
Chairman.
Bill Christie. Alana Boyle.
The Boyle is not here.
Yes,
I mean,
Okay.
exactly right here.
Come on, boy. Who
She's
is?
with Faithful Democracy.
Okay.
And then Winslow Nosey.
Yeah, take Chairman.
Those are the
Is that good? Okay. Is that good? Y'all okay with that? Except my UCC friend.
That's okay.
No, it ain't either.
Cindy, you can go. I'm happy to give my Texas.
Which one of y'all are you in UCC too?
No, she's with UCC.
And you are?
Faithful Democracy.
But it's not a denomination.
No.
Can she go?
Yeah.
Come on. Okay.
So I'll take your. So I'll take a flat. You added someone who wasn't on the list to replace somebody else. Which person is that?
It's 3 state. It's 3 state reps.
You need to put the new person on the other person.
They're just trying to get up here.
Y'all need our ID?
No, as long as they're with you.
Okay, it's only 9. It's the same number. Don't change the number.
Reverend Barber, cameras?
Take cameras off.
Yeah, but you can bring up, you can get clearance for press. That's another.
Can you get clearance for press?
Yeah. Clearance for press.
No, videography, they cannot video unless they have credentials. Are they credentialed to set a press? So if they're not credentialed, they have to stay outside.
You got credential press.
There's credentials.
Is Religion News here? She was here on the ground.
She was here, but.
Well, we got credential press right there.
He has credentials.
Once again, we'll pull them aside, as long as their House and Senate credentials are correct.
You don't have
House
House.
and Senate credential, if they have an ID, they can come in the building. If not, they'll have to remain outside.
Perfect. Are you
Can they come in
House or
as a
Senate
guest?
credential?
I'm with
They
it.
would have to be one of the 9 people.
They could be one of the 9?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, he can be one of the 9. Okay. I want to get out.
Yeah, wait, that's already fine, as long as I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Who do we have? I hate to ask for a sacrifice. We don't have another Senate. Let's do this. Let's try to get it. I'm going to ask you to try to get everybody to come back down. Chris, you want me to stay out? Eric, hold tight.
Okay.
Bishop Barber, we made a substitution for your photographer to go in. Okay.
Go ahead. Okay.
Just want to make sure the letter. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you want to, just don't water out here, there's filtered water inside, you can go there inside. Can we take a photo?
Sir, you're gonna come in as one of the 9.
Yes.
Just make sure that camera is off when you go through security for me, please.
Okay.
And then there's no filming as you're walking.
Okay.
So, and the final thing too is when you get to your destination, if you can film in the office, they allow that.
Okay.
Where this office is located, you cannot film as you're walking around the Senate chamber. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. We'll get you some water inside.
All right, 2 more is the cutoff.
What's up?
2 more is the cutoff.
2 more. 1 more. Want me to put this through the metal detector?
Yes. No, you call on the state working those electronics out.
Are you a part of the group of 9?
Yes. Put them on.
No, he's talking about the people who are supposed to go.
Yeah.
You're press, but
With Reverend Barber. I'm with Reverend Barber.
I know, but it's a list of the people who are supposed to go in. So this is the list. Okay, that's the list. Okay. We'll check it in there to see who. Do you need this? Yeah. Okay, we'll check it in to be sure. Huh? Yeah.
That's the last person, correct?
That's what I'm trying to figure
She
out.
has it there. She has it.
Just trying to find out if the county. Did you guys count the
Yes.
press? Counted them? So how many came in?
Were you on the original list?
Yeah, they're switching out so he could be.
No, they were. Were you on that? What's your names?
His name's Winston Noyes. My name's Eric Preston, but I'm not on that list, but they just switched me out.
So
They can't switch people out. That's from our office. It's from Seattle.
Okay. Okay. They don't want us them switching people out. Okay. Hi, this is Lily. They wanted to include 2 people because someone didn't come. So is that a issue? Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, they can't have more than 9 as a COVID restriction. And then the people have to be on the list if you're coming into the building. see if you can get them on the list, and I'll count to see, because if it's more than 9, they can't come in.
Okay, let me call Mike just to let him know.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
1 second.
Okay, just, if you just hold off here, we'll see if you can be added
Have they
to
been
the-
screened?
Yeah,
Yes.
they've been
Take 'em.
screened.
Come over with me. I'll get them out of the way. All right. Hey, pull on up.
Oh, it's like cooler in here.
They're already in the appointment census, so we're ready to bring them up. I just have to swap them.
Sir, if you want to film and you want to get your shot, you can stand out where he is. That's an authorized press area. You can get him filming and signing in.
Okay.
Okay?
Over here?
Yes. Where he is. That's authorized.
All right, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I grabbed somebody's phone. I grabbed somebody's phone. I grabbed somebody, yeah, and I grabbed somebody else's. Somebody else's. That's so long. Thank you, sir. Yeah, with Reverend Barber.
Okay, that's 9. So you got your 9.
Count now.
The press me is right.
3, 6. And y'all can count. Yeah.
And 9 with the president. That's 9.
Well, we need to get President, we told Schumer was more than that, so I don't know why. So can you get them, you get them, let me, the staff, come down here, we don't say we need to do that.
No, yes, he's on his way right now. Right, she can sound.
Okay. We told y'all it was like that. Well, they got people coming in. Box here.
Yes, I did.
Just 1 second. No, Kristen.
Yeah. Oh.
We'll let them come in. Hey, Chief. Hey, Chief. Christian, it's very simple. Y'all ain't got the wisdom. Y'all ain't got the wisdom. You got the wisdom. It's real simple. We have vision.
Okay, well, can you come down?
Perfect. So I'm going to be holding everyone here. I'm so sorry.
Let's do it. What elevator? They said they won't be on the elevator. Okay, Senator Schumer's office, Senator Crawford. We want to limit this office. But this ain't his office. But his office, but that camera, you put the camera on his office, with his name, say Senator Schumer.
Take the elevators up there.
Don't roll your eyes with us, we friends. Don't forget we friends. I think. Is this the elevator?
Yes, this way towards the elevator. Christian, you gonna show us? Yes. And then from there, you're gonna walk
You can't film the whole way. Or the film, but I'll let you film the It's going to take several of them. Up here from the second floor. Hit the up button over there too.
Tricky. Cool. Nice and close. You okay? Yeah. Great. Good to hear it.
Second floor.
Did we hit a button? Let's push. Okay. It's like, I don't know if I'm asking hit a button. Going up. Are we there? Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Just make sure the camera's on.
Okay.
Because you can't turn it off, we'll walk around the chamber.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
We got all of them?
After a while. You didn't break it in the chamber, everyone was big, back. But they were
slide on the door. Well,
McConnell's.
but we gonna go, yeah.
We'll go there.
Right.
Can't film anything with the chamber level.
Right.
Just as we get there.
Gotcha.
You wanna get it from here?
Yeah. So here I can film?
Yeah, and in this room.
Where's this thing at? Where's the ring at? Is there a nameplate? Did I miss it?
Yeah, the nameplate's outside.
Okay.
So, Brother Wayne, we're gonna let the chief of staff be over there. Where's Jim? We're gonna let him lead y'all in. Introduce you to the chief of staff and say whatever you want to say. Where's Wayne?
Right here.
Okay. Where's the chief of staff, though? So, Brother Weekly, if you and Brother Nosey, my dear sister, if you will go first, say something to the chief of staff. You go to stand like this, and then we'll be back to go to let them know who y'all know.
Hi, Jim Winkler with the National Council of Churches on behalf of Poor People's Campaign. So, as you know, we've been in the streets here for years, but for weeks, and a number of us were arrested last week, and we're back here today to stand solidarity with the sisters and brothers from Texas. So we're calling on ending the filibuster. We're calling for the passage of the Voters' Rights Act. We're calling for the infrastructure legislation to be passed and for a $15 federal minimum wage. And we know Senator Schumer's with us on many of these things, but we're here to keep lighting the fire on this hot day. We're using it to magnify the heat and the pressure. We know that Senate's out, but we're still here. And I believe
You are with them.
and I'm with the National Council of Churches, which includes a number of the people in this room, not everybody, but it includes mainline Protestants, historic black churches, peace churches, Anglican churches, Reformed churches, a huge swath of American Christianity, about 30 million members, 100,000 churches. We've got, I think we've got a letter that we want to present.
I'm gonna let Ms.
Good.
This is my sister, then each of the reps.
My brother from Arizona here.
Hi, I'm Mr. Nosey Senior. I've been with the trouble government for 38 years. I retired about 2 years ago. And, you know, all the issues that we face in the country really ties me with the Poor People's Campaign and what message they're bringing here. And I remember I'm going on 63, and I remember walking the halls here when I was 23 years old. And so, you know, it's been one of the big dreams, I think, not only for us, but all Americans. And I think I really believe we're in that change. So I really hope the leadership really takes this into account and seriously, because we see all over the country changing. And, you know, we all want to be on the right side of things. So I just want to leave that message with him and being involved with the people here religiously and moving forward for all Americans.
And the Republicans attack both blacks because they think Native people voted Democratic. They're trying to take that hold of it. We need the senator to have that on his radar.
Okay.
Let's just stop what they're doing. We'll make sure we get in touch. She's with us.
I'm Sandy Sorensen with the United Church of Christ, and we are partners with the Poor People's Campaign, and we've been long in the struggle for a number of social justice issues for years, and really since we've been around. With congregations around the country, we've had many of our members last week were arrested, and some in Texas. So for us, our vote is our voice. And the people who are going to be impacted the most by this are the people that we stand with, the marginalized, the people who can least afford to not have a voice. The people who are really being influenced by policy. And so for us, this has everything to do with faith. You know, we can't be anywhere else. And we are at a critical moment. I've been working in Washington for 30 years. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a critical moment. And I realize, I know Senator Schumer is working with us, but we just want you to know we're here, and we're going to be here, and we're going to keep coming back because we can do nothing else. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that dedication.
Yes. Penny Shaw from the Houston House of Representatives. I wanted to first thank Senator Schumer for making voting rights a priority as soon as they can process. We put it on the front burner. We've been here, our delegates have been here for 32 days now, away from our businesses, our families, our offices, because it's that important. We stood up to stop the sweep of voter restriction bills in the United States, but today we're here at Poor People's Campaign because we know that voting rights is tied into all human rights, whether it's health care, whether it's earning a living wage, whether it's who you want to be in this world. It's all of it. So we thank you and we implore you to continue to act. We are relying on you to continue carrying the torch, and we will stay in the fight.
We appreciate everything you all are doing. I saw your colleague in the state senate had a 15-hour filibuster that was
Yes, we will continue to fight. Thank you.
Eddie Rodriguez. I represent the Mexican American Legislative Caucus. My district is in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And that senator that was filibustering, she started off with the House, so she was House straight reverse.
Good. I figured there was something to it.
Yeah, but it's really, we met with Leader Schumer already. I did, it was on one occasion. And so we know he's supportive of our issue on the freedom to vote. We know that. But we just want to continue to encourage, and as Penny said, you know, it's not easy to be here for 30 days, but that pales in comparison to what so many people before us sacrificed over the last 100 years to get the freedom to vote, to the right to vote. So we're here sacrificing our own way just to try to get the Senate to move. I'm hopeful, and I pray every day that happens. But I'll pray soon. Thank you. Appreciate it.
How you doing? Nice to meet you. My name is Barbara Gregory Hawkins, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. State Representative House District 120. And I represent the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. You know, one of the things I'm hopeful that the Senator really understand is that we came to Washington, D.C. for action. Okay, for action. We know that Rome wasn't built in a day, but we also know it's time for change. And we need the Senator to know that. One of the things that I personally want to say to the Senator is this. He's our leader, and we need him to lead us. We need him to have an LBJ moment. When it's difficult, we need for him to make sure that he can corral his colleagues to know the value of what we're trying to do. We didn't leave home for anything. And so we want to see something happen in 2021 before our colleagues across the aisle change the whole voting system in America, and we cannot have that.
Hi, I'm Representative Michelle Beckley, and I represent District 65, which is in Denton County. I'm one of the 2 elected Democrats in Denton County. Actually, the first Democrat in my seat. I served on the elections committee. I know what these bills do. I have hours upon hours upon hours of going through it. And it's not just the bills that are, it's the bills that have already passed, as well as the whole combination of everything. I had one of my colleagues put a fake thing out on me, and I now have to deal with Proud Boys. So I am putting my family at risk for being here, and I can't go home right now until I get that organization figured out. So I had to call my husband last night. So that is how important this is to me, that I'm here with my colleagues. I've been fighting with my colleagues as much as I can, and we really need that.
Okay, so we have a letter here that's signed by everyone here and others representing literally tens of millions of people across this nation, from faith denominations, from other moral bodies, and then also the Poor People's Campaign and our 45 state coordinating committees that reach out to millions and millions of people, folks that are a part of the 140 million people who are 4 or 1 emergency away from economic growth. And we have been organizing, and we're going to keep on pushing because our demands in this moment are 4. We need to end this filibuster, both to pass voting rights, but then also to bring higher wages, to expand healthcare, to all the things that would actually lift our society from the bottom. We need to pass all the provisions of the Voting Rights Act, for the People Act, and not get into this conversation about compromising. You can't compromise with dark money. You can't compromise with early voting. I'm a constituent of Senator Schumer's. I'm in New York. I voted many times. And I can see the impact of voter suppression on my home state, as well as
the 400 bills that right now are passing through the legislatures across the country that are actually destroying our democracy. And then we have to connect that to restoring the Voting Rights Act and raising wages. This was a promise of this past election. This is the reason that Senator Schumer is the majority leader. We have senators in Georgia who ran on living wages, and we have not seen it, and we have to. And so,
I know you got to pick up your daughter. I just want to say this. 53% of our children are poor in this country. I'm asking you to say to Senator Schumer, I said, you need to say to the president, when you come back, his first meeting should be with a group of moral, religious, diverse leaders, some legislators, impacted people, poor and well, voting on black, white, brown, and economists. We need to sit with him and the president. They need to hear a different voice. This is not just a black issue. And it's not Jim Crow. Yes. And I think that the Democrats made a big mistake when they framed the bill. It is race, but it's more than that. I'm asking you to tell him, say to the president, he's promised to do it. And the president, here it is 8 months. Now you got that list. Those are not just preachers. Those are not just local pastors. And they are ready now, because we delivered the letter, to come back. And we need to sit in, we need to go in the street and get arrested. We cannot have mansion controlling this country for the next 50 years. Right. And Democrats are going to have to stand up. 3 infrastructures. The infrastructure for ports, bridging, that's good. You got to protect the infrastructure for democracy, voting, and protect the infrastructure of our daily life, which is wages and health care. And don't tell us we can't end the filibuster because you do it for budgets. You do it for, you don't use 51 votes for the Supreme Court. Oh, I done my homework. Oh, yeah. You do 51 votes for, they put people on the Supreme Court for life. You can do 51 votes to save this democracy in the life of it. Yes. So what we got to do is have the senator, don't tell us you're going to put it on the floor and give Manchin a chance to vote and some of yes, but they know it's not going to go anywhere. Because if they don't say they're going to end the filibuster, and we're going to tell the House members, don't vote for another nothing. If one person can hold it up in the Senate, then 70 ought to be able to hold it up in the House. We'll accept all of it at one time, infrastructure, voting, living wages, but we cannot accept. And because if you do that, the Democrats actually deny what they did in their own platform. And so this is a serious moment. We're very serious. We're not always going to be the happy campers, but you don't need that when you need truth. You need folk that will tell you the truth. And we have the pulse of the people. And right now, the people are feeling like the leadership is weak. I'm just telling you. That's what they feel like now. The people, other folk may not tell you that. The posters may not tell you. But I'm going to tell you from the streets. They cannot understand how we vote a majority and how 1 or 2 senators cannot be jammed. Why? They are more important than the majority of the people in the country. This is a fair question. Okay. So it's time. We can back it, but it can't be about moderation and all this. It's got to be about what. If this is the greatest attack on voting rights since the Civil War, then you don't assign aspirin for cancer. Okay, go ahead. I love you, daughter. God bless you. I got 5 of them. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Thank you very much.
Let me find Chris if you want to.
Thank you.
You can only do this.
Look at the shot.
Thank you. Thank you, man. What's your name again? I like that, too. I want you on my team. Got a lot of power. Strength of character.
I shot the phone. I'm just trying to make sure I tag you.
Thank you very much. Twitter, Facebook, and I think there's an Instagram, but I don't do it.
No, there's no one, unfortunately, from McConnell staff. No, sir. Somebody from McConnell staff can come see you.
We can't go near?
No, there's
How
no
far
way
can
there.
we walk?
You gotta walk back the way we came.
Is that way? Is off?
Yeah, we're walking by it.
But they won't even let us go to the...
No, sir.
Okay, well, I want to walk that way and see it. You hear that, Eric?
What's that?
They said they don't want us to come to the farm.
No, they would need staff members.
Hey, they got one? We sent them letters earlier. It's not that they couldn't have made it play. We contacted them. Text them. Email them. I was trying to tag them. So, you know, sometimes you have to have them. But they don't want to. I'm not fussing at you. You know your job.
I can't call for you.
No, you know your job.
Can't make appointments all day. That's a different job.
So, which way is that off? I got you. I'm not doing some of this thing today. But I am going to walk over here like you're going.
Right here.
So this is Senator McConnell. But they said we couldn't come down. He's got a staff person. So they you staff for Senator McConnell? Hello? He's press? He don't look like press. Okay, but
He's got a pad.
so we emailed them, text them, told them we were coming. So they, how y'all know this?
The appointments, that's what the...
Oh, they didn't do us on the phone, did they? But they let all the lines in. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna do an investigation and see who's there. I'm not talking about y'all, I'm just gonna see whether that makes any sense. But his office is right there. Okay. Y'all hear that, right? We'll send it back on there. Certified, yeah. Yeah, well, they won't slip it under the door. And y'all sure that's not a staff person? He ain't right, he's typing on the phone. How you doing, sir? Are you meeting?
He's not.
This is so sad. Big old powerful McConnell who can run his mouth, say what he do, scare us and preach. As some Texas legislators. Hey, LBJ. Thank you, brother. Yeah, at least you got to see LBJ. That's right. That's right. Hello, you with McConnell's office? You with McConnell's office? No. Oh, okay. I'm just trying to find somebody.
He's persistent, isn't he?
You just can't, I let that go with the elders thing, you can't build anymore.
Okay.
Where we go down?
This way, sir, elevator. You can go ahead, you can go forward. We're gonna go down and make a right.
Who is this guy? John Franklin? Hey, man. He never got elected. He probably got elected.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, he was there. My man. On the 6th, right? Yeah, you arrested me 3 years ago.
It's been a minute.
See, I told you, I know. He was my buddy. He was nice, though. He was nice.
You come back tonight?
Who?
You're not coming back.
No, sir. Yeah, he did it. I saw. We'll come back. Me and
Nobody here.
me. If the lobbyists was here, they'd be here.
staff, we look, they wouldn't let us go, we just wanted to slide it under the door. They might let one of your people slide. We sent one, the same one to show President and Vice President. Try it for me. All right, thank you, Senator Lane. God always sends an angel. Take care.
What do you think about that?
Well, the Lord got a way to try to see. Yeah, it's going to get there. And it's going by social media, but you can't say they didn't get it. Thank you, officer.
We live streaming, Doc. You got anything you want to say?
Not yet. We need people to sign on to that letter. Keep pushing. You know, it's kind of sad on recess. And somebody said, well, why did you come today? We wanted to come to dramatize that when they should be here, they're not here. And they take a break. Now, they stay here to do infrastructure for bridges, but not infrastructure to protect the democracy. The Texas legislators can't go home, but the folk up here went home. And we haven't seen the kind of fight that we need from the Democrats even, to be quite honest. They keep talking about procedural votes. They talk about we need to do infrastructure first. But really the leverage is to say we're not going to do any more infrastructure until we get this other thing. The House needs to just say no more votes until we get it all. And it'd be better to go into the next election saying that the Republicans would do everything and using that to motivate folks to put more members in the Senate. But we can't let one mansion and one senator be more powerful than 60 or 70 members of the House and more powerful than the millions of people who vote. The 6th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. Today is the day Charlottesville happened 4 years ago, and we got folk on recess, or as my dear sister Penny said, on repress, and we got a crisis. We couldn't get but 9 people in because of the restrictions, but what we took in is representative of millions of people, and I don't know, I tremble for this nation. To use the words of Thomas Jefferson. He once said, when I think that God is just, and his justice will not sleep forever. And I tremble when I think about the fact. It's one thing what the Republicans are doing. It's a whole other thing. Senator Schumer, y'all got to step up. You got to get McConnell, the senator. You're worried about him becoming a Republican. They're not going to become no Republicans. You're worried about next year's election. You got to get there. And if you get there and the systems of voting has been undermined, you're not going to win anyway. And Mr. President, you're worried about the infrastructure bill, but no president has ever been remembered for infrastructure. Every president was remembered that did the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. That's what really makes a difference. And if I was you, I'd get Air Force One. I get all the state legislators on Air Force One and fly it right down to Austin, because then it's federal property. I would dare them to come on your plane and arrest them. I'd have a meeting, a live stream from your plane. Then I would get off that plane, meet with impacted people, black and white and brown, poor and low wealth in Texas. Then I'd fly them same legislators to West Virginia, fly out to Arizona, and then I'd fly back to D.C. and I'd have them as my special guest. And I go to the well of the Congress and say to the Congress, this is my Abraham Lincoln, FDR, LBJ, JFK moment. And there are 3 things we got to do. We must protect the infrastructure of our democracy. Without it, everything falls apart. We must protect the infrastructure of our daily lives, which is health care and living wages. And we must protect the infrastructure of our roads and bridges. And it cannot be one or the other. It has to be all. Because like a 3-legged stool, if one leg breaks, the others tilt over. President, this is that time.
You need to clear now.
This is that time. I hope you'll take it. Thank you. Thank y'all for that. Thank you. Let me help. Thank you. Got to get your picture revival. One day, one Sunday. Bring everything you got one Sunday. All your house. All right, y'all. Thank you, man. We're going to close with a word of prayer.
Yeah.
Reverend Lou, you want to pray for us? Yeah. Go ahead and lift us in prayer, everybody. We got people.
Gracious God, we come to you. Thank you for this powerful moment, God.
Yes.
We honor you, God, for safe travel and mercy, bringing all of us here for a moment such as this.
Yes.
For the soul of our nation, God. We call to you, God. We hold on to you. We thank you, God, for allowing us to deliver these letters, God. And we
Yes.
pray, God, that when they read them, that it will sink down in their soul, Father.
Yes.
To change their mindset, God, to consider the poor, to consider, God, the voting rights, to end the filibuster, God. God, we thank you now for touching them beyond just considering, God, but moving their heart to make some things happen. We need it now, God. Move by your Spirit through all of us, God, as we travel our separate ways. But God, we thank you for bringing us together for this moment now. Have your way in this nation.
Yes.
Have your way with us. We love you and praise you. And ask this now in your precious name. Amen.
Let's thank God for Reverend Dr. Alvin Jackson.
That's right.
Who worked to pull all this together. And Dr. Adam Barnes. Where's Adam? And Reverend Cass, who's in her absence.
Yay.
And Brother Elliott. Where's Zilla? Sister Zilla.
And for good signal.
Reverend,
And for good signal.
And Reverend Della, our security. And him.
No, I'm talking about we got a good live stream
Yeah, and a good signal. Amen.
Yeah.
Fusion film. And let's thank God for the Texas delegation showing the way. Yeah. The whole nation. And our sister from Sheila Jackson Lee's office.
That's
the
right.
staff. Where's the other staff, brother? That sister. Hey. And Christian. This is Brother Watkins. Where's Walker? Cliff.
Let's go here.
There he is. Amen. Let's thank God for Brother Walker. You the man, brother. Thank God. And look, the folk that came, they ain't their first time. This ain't their last time. The bishops and others are ready. Okay? So we're going to keep pushing. Thank y'all for what you're doing. Let's thank God for Reverend Liz, too.
And Brother Jim Winkler.
Jim Winkler, where is he at? Jim, Council of Churches. We got Jim Winkler together. We all right now. Salvation is soon to come.
Thank you, Reverend Barber.
And our sister said, let us never forget the first people.
That's right.
Amen. Represented by Brother Winslow.
That's right.
So let's thank God for everybody. God bless you all. We'll see you when we win in the middle of the circuit. All right.
Hey, get a picture of me and Winslow.
I need a gate.
He's going to take a real picture.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, he's sending it to me, right?
Oh, man. We need to come out there and see you again, man.
Helping me. We got our court set for October 22 in San Francisco, the 9th Circuit Court.
Right.
So we're pulling all the Indian country. Everybody will be showing up. So hopefully with the help.
Yeah, I know. I'm in touch with Steve Pagin, so I know he's on top of things.
Yeah. So I think they're going to assign him to work with us.
Right.
So we'll be headed a big old convoy from Arizona heading to.
Nice.
So I'm excited. That's why I'm going back to work out. So.
Be good. Take care of yourself. Good seeing you, man.
Thank you so much.